What's going on, everyone? So we are living in a time in which beloved classics, Disney films and whatnot, are turning into horror franchises, and they're trying to create this like horror universe, right? Saw the first stages with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. The second version, part two, was much better budget, right? They really want this to turn into a real thing. Now, obviously, I do wish it was a bigger type of bigger budget, more larger studios doing this. I'm all for a B-rated horror movie. I love me a good quality B-rated horror film. Like I've talked about it a million times in live streams and videos and whatnot. Like nothing's better than when like you go to sit down to watch a movie expecting it to be bad and you're like presently surprised and it's great. Love that. But and Jagged Edge Productions in particular is really trying to pump this like horror verse of these like beloved childhood classics and turning it into this horror space, right? Again, you got Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, getting a new Little Mermaid horror movie, which that one is a different studio, but again, kind of fitting in this same like idea, same world, same mold of like, hey, here's a beloved Disney classic. Here's a beloved classic that is now, the same story, but evil and the dark. And it's kind of what this is, where, many of you may have seen the trailer for this. It's kind of been circling, going around, but basically just to summarize the premise trailer, it's, your typical Little Mermaid, group of humans find this treasure, this lost city that they believe, and they're trying to excavate it and figure it out. And then turns out that mermaids, when they taste flesh and blood, they grow legs and can live amongst the humans. And that's kind of what the whole premise is supposed to be. See how this goes. See how this is good, right? Again, I have no problems with these like B-rated horror films, right? As long as they're entertaining, as long as they're good, as long as they're great. I enjoyed the Winnie the Pooh films. I love me some of these like just B-rated films. Again, I'm all for it. I mean, even when the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, the first one, right? Even when that was announced, I was pumped. I was hyping that up like it's the next greatest things to slice bread, because I genuinely do love these like B-rated horror films. So keep bringing them on. And guess what they are doing? They are continuing to bring them on. We are now getting a Peter Pan horror film. Now, not gonna lie, I am very intrigued with the idea of Peter Pan. Like the Winnie the Pooh thing, it's a little out there, right? You got to kind of stretch in order to kind of make that work, right? Like you think of the story and the premise behind that, the 100-acre woods, they get left by, Christopher Robin, and now they turn in these ravaged beasts that killing and stuff. Even the Little Mermaid thing, right? It's like they got to kind of change the story. Peter Pan, I mean, you could argue that's a horror movie by itself, right? Like, there's been, since Peter Pan first came out, there have been all kinds of, theories and ideas and like, people going, Captain Hook is actually the good guy, right? Like, and all of these stories of like, no, like Peter Pan is a kid, goes in and kidnaps kids, right? Like that is, I mean, it has its built-in inherent horror idea by itself. Like you don't even have to like stretch to try to make it work. Peter Pan comes, he's some, fairy or whatever that takes kids and likes to eat them, whatever, right? Like there you go, boom. Let's go. Keep it simple. Tinkerbell is some, evil, sorceress or whatever that's been enchantedly imprisoned by Peter. Captain Hook's the hunter that's been trying to take him down. Captain Hook's the good guy. Hey, you have Wendy and all of it unfold. I think that there is a very easy inherent story here. Now, again, we don't have a ton of details on like how exactly the story will entail and, how far are they going to go? Are they actually going to have Tinkerbell? Is it just going to be about Peter? Are they going to have Captain Hook? Right? You'd imagine that they'd have those various things. But here's what we do know. So Peter Pan, Neverland Nightmare, that's the name of the film, is an upcoming film that reimagines characters created by J.M. Barrie in a horror setting. Produced by Jagged Edge Productions, which again is the one that did the Winnie the Pooh films. They've done a bunch of like other like B-rated films, but it's part of the Twisted Childhood universe. That's what I was talking about. How they're really trying to create this like this horror universe based on childhood films and whatnot. The plot revolves around Wendy Darling as she sets out to rescue her brother from the grasp of Peter Pan. So, again, easy, inherent, no brainer type just storyline, right? Like, you have Wendy who has to go and save her brother from the grasp of Peter Pan. And Peter Pan is this like evil goblin thing or whatever. And boom, there you go. I would have, Captain Hook and turn the quote unquote villain into the good guy. And he's this like hunter that's been trying to take down and slay Peter Pan. And, he's, failed numerous times. He lost his hand to Peter Pan. Maybe you could even go back to like, when he was a kid, he lost his hand to Peter Pan. What was the one with it was the one with Robin Williams, I think, where it was like Captain Hook was like a lost boy or whatever that like forgot or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly what that premise was. I mean, obviously I saw the movie, but it's been a long time. But something like that where maybe Captain Hook was a lost boy that didn't want to do the heinous things that Peter was forcing them to do, and so he escaped and took up the mantle to try to stop and slay Peter. And now you got Peter Pan, who's basically abducting kids and eating the ones that he doesn't want to be part of his lost boys. And then you have all these like ravaged kids or whatever. Like there's so many, like the story sells itself, right? Don't overthink it, in my opinion. Like I just think that this is a real opportunity here to tell just a really good, fun reimagining of a childhood classic, right? Like they've had so many different adaptations of Peter Pan, and they've had like more adult versions and whatnot, and then they had the Wendy film and stuff like that, which what was the Peter Pan film that came out, what was it, like 2007 or whatever, 2003 or something like that. That one I know was like really well received by a lot of people. I know that one had a ton of success. Obviously, the one with Robin Williams is the one that's like really beloved. I know the Peter Pan one that came out like a year or so ago, which I think was just like the Wendy movie or whatever. I know that one many people were kind of disappointed in. I think it was like Peter Pan and Wendy, I think was the name of it. But nonetheless, right? You go back to the beloved classic from the 50s, right? It's like you just have, again, you have this inherent, already easy to tell story that has always kind of walked the line of like, is Peter really evil, or is it just, is it Captain Hook? Is Captain Hook the hero? And, there's all kinds of like content creators and people that have like gone down the rabbit holes of like, Peter Pan, he's the bad guy, and he imprisons Wendy and all that. Like, you do the same thing. You can basically just take some of those conspiracy theories or those theories that people throw out there of, Peter Pan, and just interpret that into a movie. But just keep it simple, right? Don't get too carried away. But hopefully it's a fun movie. Because again, I am all for it. I know some people are kind of mixed on the whole, like, some people don't want these films touched. Some people don't want like their childhood ruined and stuff. I don't think this personally, again, this is just my take, but I don't think it ruins our childhood. I mean, it's not like those movies don't exist anymore, right? And these are all like B-rated little like low budget films anyway, right? Like they're not going to have like the insane popularity that the original Peter Pan is. 10 years from now, the general audiences aren't going to be like, oh, I'm going to introduce you to Peter Pan, Neverland Nightmares. No, they're going to introduce them to the Peter Pan films, whether it's the Robin Williams film or the 2003 film or even the classic cartoon, right? Those are always going to be the introductions into it. And to us, it's like, no, we're adult and grown now to where it's like, oh, you could have some fun. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of a Peter Pan horror film? Do you like the idea of, like, do you think that they just keep it simple? Do you think that they should change kind of the story and idea? Or do you think, like, no, like, because I just think, like, Peter Pan might be one of the easiest ones that come to mind to turn into a horror film. Like, genuinely. But do you feel that same way? Again, I feel whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.